Do you hear that? That is the sound of some of the Lovecraftian horrors that stalk the night. And that's why we are hanging out in here, in our safe little hut, and hopefully they don't terrorize our pigs too much, although I think the pigs are reacting more to me than to them. Hello everyone, my name is Corazar, and welcome back to the Vintage Story Guide. Today we're in a bit of a pickle, because it is still very high rift activity outside, and it is getting light out, and most of the creatures should start running away once the sun comes up far enough, although I'm not sure that the one making that sound is one of them. The drifters will, the sort of hunchbacked over gray folk that sort of make those groaning noises. They'll run away eventually. The bowtorn and the others, which are called shivers, might not run away. Between episodes, I was reasonably busy. I went out and I dug a pit trap, and then I proceeded not to actually use it. I just chased a boar around and I stabbed it to death. And then, as one does, I felled some mighty mushrooms with my tree chopping axe, and I gathered a little bit more grain on the way home. I rendered the fat from that boar and I made some more pelts. These are medium-sized pelts, and they are now curing on the ground below us. And then I tried to sleep away the rift activity, but to no avail. We are still surrounded by them right now. And that's where we are right now. Now, we do have a very hearty meal right here. Luckily, I have healed up, so if taking a damage, we won't be too bad. But I was thinking we could maybe protect ourselves a little bit better. And to that end, we're going to dip into our new supply of cattails. And that's because we can make a crude shield. With cattails or bamboo or papyrus, depending on where you are in the world, and 6 sticks. So we're going to go ahead and make one of these. 6 on top, 6 on the bottom. That is how you can make a tool rack, by the way. It'll store up to 4 tools on the wall. I just haven't made them because we are kind of short on sticks rather eternally. And now we have a crude shield. You'll see it has a block chance when active use, block chance when passive use, and it'll absorb 3 points of damage from either melee or projectiles. Now with melee, the block chance is only 90% when you're actively using it, but that's okay. Now these go in your offhand. You'll see, if you crouch, you'll bring the shield up very quickly. When you're crouching and sneaking like this, you'll hold your shield up. Now I have actually moved my hands position down. That way I'm not constantly seeing my hands in my vision all the time. And if you want to, you can change that in your settings. You can come in here over to interface and change your first person hands Y position. If you want to bring them up, you certainly can. I had mine at about, -16. I might move up a little bit to 12. And there we go. The reason I move it down is because the shield does block a lot of your view when you're using it. Now, my preferred method of getting away from creatures that are spawned near your house is to make a mad dash for it. Just run, run, run. If you run far enough away, they will despawn. It is a decent distance, though. We might run maybe down to near that trader, and then run back. And that should force most, if not all of them, to despawn. That should be good, but I see something sleeping over here. Oh, that's a huge gray boar. Oh my goodness. That would be a very fine snack, wouldn't it? I wonder if we can trap him real quick. There we go. Only took 5,000 attacks. Oh boy. Now his weight is also low. I'm hopeful we'll get at least a couple pieces of fat off of him. 2. Alright, I'll take 2. Sure. Alright, that should have given our enemies plenty of time to despawn. Actually, way more than needed. And let's get started on tackling today's lesson, which is going to be on how to extend your food's shelf life once you've acquired it. You probably have noticed if you've been following along, that we have a lot of food. Here we go. And these two. And these guys are almost spoiled. We're going to go ahead and eat them, I guess. Rotting cranberries. And other stuff is, here we go, only good for 5 more hours. Yikes. That's not good. Good for 2 days. We'll mix those together and we'll at least get a few more hours out of them. That is pretty rough. So we might have to just go ahead and cook these guys into a meal. Now this will fill us up extremely full. Let's go ahead and get that done. Also get this off our bar. Just like carrying anything in your offhand, this will increase your hunger. So make sure to avoid doing that whenever possible. Now while that's cooking, I want to figure out what to do with this fat and this rawhide. And I think as much fun as it would be to turn these two into hats, we only have one of them, but we can actually oil up to 4 small raw hides. Maybe it would be better to wait. We have a couple days left. I might want to see if I can get one more rabbit hide and see if we can finish out that one there. But we will render the fat, and I will certainly turn this large hide into a pelt before anything else. Now that is not kosher. I came out here to put down our trap baskets. What do I see? What I believe is a black bear napping right there. I'm going to go ahead and plop one basket down here. I saw a rabbit just run away. So I'm going to just do that real quick. But I think then we're going to try to make use of my trap to try and lure that black bear to it. Alright, I know where these traps are, so don't need to worry about finding them again, most likely. Now my pit trap is over here. I don't know how effective it's going to be, given how far away it is. But I'll make some spears and we'll give it our best college try. Well, today I learned black bears can't actually catch you if you circle them like that. I'm very dizzy now, and my heart rate is about 1,000 beats a minute, but we made it. Good golly, we made it. Wow. Well, this is quite a boon. Now, she is low weight, but black bears do usually have at least one piece of fat on them, and she does have one. Oh boy, oh boy. This, my friends, this is exciting. If you can acquire them without yourself turning into bear poop, then you can get yourself some very fine armor. Alright, so now we're home. We need to get rid of this. We need to render this fat before it spoils. We're going to oil these hides, and then we're going to dig a cellar, and we're going to learn how to preserve our food. Okay, our first lesson in how to preserve food is going to start with crafting the right kinds of containers for storing your food, and that begins with gathering some clay. So, if you have been running low on clay lately, then you should go out and collect just a bit. Maybe a couple stacks of clay should be fine. I might go a little overboard because I'm going to want to have more clay for further lessons, so I'm just going to get to it. I'll see you all in a second. Okay, we are home. Oh, and by the way, I did put a fence up around where the rabbit is. This one was unintentional. That's because foxes and wolves and bears will chase your rabbits and try to eat them. And actually, I think I need to remove some of this land around here to make them fully safe. So I'm going to do that, and then we'll get inside, and I'm going to show you how to start preserving your food a little longer. Actually, a lot longer. Alright, that should be good. Now, please pardon the carpeting we have here. But we are getting a little low on storage space. And with the only 2 remaining spots on the floor left, we're going to start doing some clay forming. We're going to start with a raw red clay storage vessel, or whatever kind of clay you might happen to have on hand. And we're going to go ahead and just fill this in. Now, as you can see, a single clay storage vessel does take a hefty share of clay to create. That's why I suggested having at least a couple stacks on hand. And there we go. We have our first storage vessel. Well, incomplete as of yet. It needs to be fired. We'll get to that in just a moment. I will pick it up first, hang on to it. And the second thing I want to make is I want to make some crocks. We have been cooking with cooking pots and bowls. And cooking pots are great. They'll hold 6 servings, and you can cook in them, of course. Bowls hold 1 serving, and you have to have a bowl to eat from. Can't eat from the pot. Crocks are kind of a middle ground, but they have an additional advantage. Crocks have lids. So if we were to take this open food here and put it somewhere like in a cellar or in a refrigerator, it would not last as long as if it had a lid, right? Just like in real life. So we're going to make crocks that have lids that when we store them away somewhere, they will last significantly longer. And again, crocks, you can find them in the clay forming list right here. And I'm going to make 4 of them because a single crock only holds 4 meals. And that isn't a ton, especially not for long-term storage. And we're going to want to make a lot of food storage to last through winter. So, we're going to start with 4 of these. And now we have 4 of these crocks ready to go. Now, 4 crocks still won't take you very far, and neither will 1 storage vessel. These storage vessels, by the way, they hold 50% more contents than a single reed basket will, so they are a way to expand your storage. However, unlike reed baskets, you can't place them on the wall. You have to rest firmly on the foundation, or they'll fall, and they won't break, but they might end up landing somewhere you don't want them to be. So, I'm going to go ahead and make probably a couple more of each of these, and then we'll get to firing in the morning. I also realized I need to get some more sticks and some more grass, so I'll be right back. All right, breathe it in. Oh wait, maybe don't breathe it in. But that is progress. Okay, and with that going on, it's time for us to get to the second part of food preservation. And that is having a cool, dark place to store our food. Having it in a vessel is one thing, but if your vessel's out in the heat and the sun, or in the damp, it's not going to keep your food very fresh for very long. We need to put things underground. To do that, we'll dig a cellar. And I am thinking that what I want to do here is, I'm envisioning maybe putting our house on top of these guys here. Reason being is that we need to provide some level of protection from lightning, especially from the bunnies and for the piglets whenever they are so inclined to arrive, which these won't yet. Once the sow, which is the smaller one, says that she is ready to mate, then I'll bother feeding them. They keep eating the plants, and I'm not getting any benefit from that right now. So once that is all said and done, we'll start feeding them again. But, lightning protection. When you are protecting your animals from lightning, you need to make sure that they are 8 blocks away from any block that could be struck by lightning. Now, if you have 64 blocks, or in this case 25 blocks, above them, that shouldn't be struck and only one of them is maybe vulnerable, that isn't such a bad ratio. So it doesn't have to be perfect, but basically the more shelter, the more better. And so for this house, I was kind of envisioning having maybe a bit of a backyard before our crop plots here. And so I think maybe eventually this will get torn down. And I think our house will end up being something like above these two and then right up here. I think having an L-shaped house would be kind of nice. And putting it a little bit away from the farms to have a bit of backyard space would be nice. We're also going to build this house up. I'm probably going to put it maybe, I don't know, 3 blocks or so off the ground. That way we will have the ability to build like a little yard-ish thing over here, a raised yard. And that will provide us the 8 blocks clearance we need to keep our bun-buns safe from zap-zaps. That is the official terminology, by the way. At its core, what is a cellar in terms of vintage story? Well, a cellar is a space that must be made almost entirely of earth, stone, or ceramic blocks, and it must be no larger than 7 by 7 by 7. Furthermore, the less light there is, the better, and it must contain at least one air block, or it won't work. Now, I've noticed here that our cooking pot full of red meat stew is only good for 2.6 more days, and we have not touched it yet. Given that we have 6 servings, it's going to take us longer than that to actually eat this stuff. So we're going to dig a temporary cellar here while we work, and I'll just show you how it functions. So here we go, we have a rudimentary cellar that I'm stuck in now. I'm going to put my basket from my back down here. Again, this is from the carry-on mod. And we're going to grab our food here. I put it down here. Still says this is 3.1 days. I think it's going up because we're a little farther away from the sun here, and also the temperature is going down as it gets cooler. Temperature affects how your food spoils. So we're going to pick up our bowl and we're going to put it in here. At the top of the screen here, you'll see it says stored food pair speed 0.93x. That's different from this one, which will be 0.96, and this one's 0.99. Again, because they are closer to the outdoors. Now, if I come in here, I'm going to put my torch in my offhand for a moment. If I plug this hole and I look at our basket, it now says stored food pair speed 0.26x. And if I look in it, our meat stew will now last 11 days. So we can take our time eating it. So I think we're going to leave that in there, again, because, well, we kind of need to. And we will come and munch on that as we get a chance to. Now, dirt can take a while to open and close, as if it were a door. You gotta beat it out with your hands. So what we can do instead is we can also plug this hole with some hay grass, because these are very quick to break, and they seal up pretty much about as good as dirt does. It's 0.29x. So it's a very minor debuff. I think it is worth the convenience. Also, I won't forget where it is now. Anyway, I am going to prep some tools, prep some materials, and I'll see you all in the morning when we're ready to start building the cellar and the first floor of our house. Okay, so I may have lied slightly about seeing you all in the morning. I realized I wanted some more building materials, and I went out for a bit of a collect-a-thon, I suppose. And now that we're on the way back, I am seeing no more fire here, which means we have 5 storage vessels and 12 crocks. Oh, that's exciting. Now, I'm going to set up a little bit of a building workshop here. I'm going to clear some space here with the grass. I want to make a couple of baskets here. I guess I could maybe use... Yeah, we could use one of the vessels to store our building supplies. Let's do that. And you may have noticed while I was clearing out the oak tree during the montage that I spent a while raking a lot of the branches by hand. And that is not a mistake. That's because when you cut a tree down, you get fewer sticks than if you would break the branches individually. I think 1 should be enough. We have plenty of space near... You know what? Let's do 2. Why not? What could it possibly hurt? And we're going to go in here briefly. We're going to open this up a little bit once again. We're going to plop... Actually, we'll remove you, I think. Just toss you here for now. We're going to stuff one of these guys in here. And we're going to move all of our food into here. And you'll see the grain goes from 81 days up to 1.6 years, and that's without a cellar. Onions, 29 days from 21, 14 days to 20, 1.6 years, 13 days to 19, and we seal them up. It's going to be even better. So if we seal this up, we'll bring our torch with us so we can see what we're doing here. Oh, we need to put our meal in there too, don't we? There we go. So, meal. 3 days. 3 days in there, but it's not sealed yet. I think this won't affect the meal as much. There we go. Meal is 9 days. Now, it's been a couple days since we put it in here. That's why it has ticked down a little bit. But that is pretty darn good. So, I'm going to gather a few more materials, and we're going to then, in the morning, start building our new dream home. Alright folks, we are back home safe and sound, and that little trip down to the sand dunes and the desert actually gave us a little more food to tuck away. Got some puffball mushrooms, and I think it's now time for us to go ahead and break ground. Now I've realized that I kind of want the entrance to the house to come down into here, so I think what we'll do is that as part of this project we're going to sort of shuffle these around. We're going to move the boar and the sow over to the new pit over here, and we'll see if we can move the rabbit over here. If we could segregate the boar and the rabbit, that'd be great too, but that's, well, a stretch goal. Okay, hole complete. You will see it is 1 block higher than the one in here. It's because I want to continue this experiment I've been doing, where I think it might be possible to feed your animals by planting crops and letting them eat. I won't know until I can get a good view of the, here we go, the sow ready to mate. We'll see if she'll eat crops that I plant. If so, that might be a cheesy way to not have to feed them the food that you're actually going to eat. But we're going to terraform this a little bit. We're just going to flatten this out a little bit here. It is important not to leave gaps because gaps are where monsters will spawn. So we're just going to fill this in, and we might end up digging some of this back out later. But for now, I don't want to have to deal with any weirdness going on. And then I'm going to get these guys migrated over here. I don't know how easy or hard this is going to be. Probably awful. Probably the terrible, horrible idea. I shouldn't have thought of it. But we're going to try it. Oh, that actually went better than I thought it would. Okay. Well, we didn't get the rabbit sorted out, but that might not be a problem. I might have another solution to that later. We'll see. Well, Bud, it's you and me now. You should be pretty easy to move. I hope. Over you go. Find the gap. Yeah, there you go, buddy. Alright. So, there we go. We're going to move our fence over to protect the rabbit. And this then will become our new cellar space, although probably not quite as deep as it is currently. Oh, now I'm stuck, though. Okay, the rabbits are transferred. Well, not quite the way I want them, but it's fine. It is time to get a bit of a first floor going on here. And I think I want the house to be about 3 blocks off the ground. Reason being is that I want to be able to protect ourselves from things like the shivers, which are able to climb walls. So I want to have a house that's a little bit taller, so we can have a bit of an overhang, sort of like this. If our house, or rather the floor of the house, is this tall, and we have this overhang here, the shivers can run up here, and they can climb all they want, but they'll get stuck under the overhang. That way we don't have those guys snapping at our faces when we're trying to close a door, or open one to get the mail. So, I think we're going to start with a rammed earth floor for our house. I think it's a pretty fine looking floor. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to build up 1 and 2. And I believe that should about do it. I could go up another block and make it a particularly tall house, but that would make it 4 blocks tall on the back. We're not going to raise up all of this, just the front. So that would make it 4 blocks tall back here. That's pretty tall already. So I think we don't need to worry about making it any taller at this point. So we'll just do that, and we're going to build this in here and get it all in. Okay, we have a basic floor to our house, and you'll see that I didn't connect it under here, and that's because I'm going to need to keep this at least somewhat reasonably lit For now, I'll put a torch there. We will have to occasionally come back and replace this torch, because if we don't keep this place lit, then we will get things spawning under here, and we don't want that. Now, I'm getting suspiciously low on dirt, so I'm going to go ahead and get some more dirt, and then we will continue this process. Okay, dirt acquired. Food in belly. What's next? Well, next is I would like to make, rather than just a plain old rammed earth or packed dirt, I want to have some fancier walls, and that's why I got the chert sand, I got some grass, I got some red... I can see you nodding along with me. Yep. Those of you who know, you know. We're going to make some light mud brick that is made with grass, clay, of basically any sort, low fertility soil, or medium, and any kind of sand. And you get these nice, light, brick-like blocks that are perfect for building your early game house. They are quite expensive, but they do make a lot per action in your crafting grid. So I'm going to go ahead and grab a bunch of this, and we should be about off to the races. And we're going to put the soil there, the sand there, clay there, and there we go. Each of these makes 4, so we now have 64 light mud brick, which is a pretty good start, I'd say. And we're going to just do a wall that goes around most of the house here. Now, if this is our entrance, I want the door to be, like we'll put it here, I think. So we'll start with something like this. I want the door to go straight across so we can just go through the house if we need to. Not the door, the walkway. We're going to go ahead and get this in here, this first layer. Next, we're going to start the next layer. I think we'll make this part of the house probably 3 blocks tall. And I did just realize that I got those oak logs for a reason, and I am not using them for that reason. So let's go ahead and fix that, shall we? I wanted to make some interesting looking supports for the house, and I figured oak would be the way to do it. Now, since I made a mistake, I'll have to be destroying some of these blocks here, and that's okay. But you should know the light mud brick, and as well as the dark mud brick, they often will break when you go to retrieve them. So I break this with my hand or shovel. I got a block that time. Let's see if I get one this time. I may not. I got one that time. Now this area I think is going to be turned into our fireplace. So I think I don't want to put wood right here, but I'll probably replace it with some kind of stone later on. We got very lucky and we got all of our blocks back. That doesn't happen very often to me. But we're going to put some wood in here, like this. Some support beams going up. And I really like oak. Oak is a nice neutral brown with just a hint of red tone that makes it perfect for many applications. Oak is also an important material for later for certain processes that we're not going to have access to for quite some time. So we're not going to worry about that for right now. But I have started a little tree farm with many of the acorns and things that I've gotten from the trees. So eventually, down yonder, we'll have a lot of trees sprouting up. Okay, I think for our first level of our first house, we're going to have a 3-block high, maybe 3.5 block high ceiling. That keeps things simple. It does give us a bit of room to jump, and it's not so tall that we feel lost in it, and it doesn't feel weird, and also that we don't spend too much time having to gather materials for it. So let's go ahead and fill in some walls. I think I'll put a window here. I think I'll plan to put a window in all of these, and then later if we decide not to put a window in, then we can rectify that later. There we go. So small windows everywhere in the house. I think the windows are also going to just be 1 block tall. We will be able to get glass windows in the Stone Age. Sounds weird, but it is possible. It is still very expensive, so I'm not going to count on us having a ton of glass windows. Alright, I am going to go ahead and get us some more grass and more materials for building, and then I will see all of you in the morning. We'll pick up with this process. And would you look at that sunset? Look at those colors. There are not a ton of games that you get these colors in sunsets, and boy, is it gorgeous. Okay, good morning, folks. I got, I think, enough stuff to complete our house here. I did realize that I wanted to pop out the wood supports by 1 block. That way they can, 1, add a little bit of texture to our house, and 2, support a second floor that overhangs the first floor. I always like that look in a medieval house. And there. So now we can come back in here, get our logs back out. We're going to go up 1, 2, 3 this time. The 4th one I think is actually going to be horizontal, so it's going to be supporting a beam right here. And there we go. We can then fill these back in and have some breakfast. Oh, a very small breakfast. And 1 left over. It goes there for now. Oh, what have we here? Why, I see that our turnips are ready for harvest. Our inventory is not. Let's go empty that and then harvest those turnips because we need to keep our food moving on in the early game. Now, although we are a blackguard and we have a reduced drop rate for crops gathered in the wild, we have no such problems harvesting crops in our own fields. I'll show you. So typically we would get like maybe, what, 1 or 2 turnips if we're lucky. Here we get 7. 7 again. 6. 6. Pretty good stuff, huh? So yes, farming is a huge change in how you approach food in the early game of Vintage Story. So almost 1.5 stacks, that's pretty darn good. The carrots are also almost done. I'm going to leave these fields fallow until we have harvested the flax and can do a full swap of the fields, a full rotation of the crops. We also may not want to plant the turnips in the upcoming season because if we look at the turnip seeds here, they're only heat resistant until 27 degrees Celsius. That's not particularly hot, and in the summer here it might get hotter than that, although we'll have to see how true that is. But we're going to put them away in here. They will last 40 days, 35 days. If we close this up, it should be much longer. Let's get our torch in our hand first. Yes, 99 days. That is pretty darn good. Now for our doors and windows, I am thinking that we just stick with wattle because it's very easy. And we'll also probably want these again at some point. We'll make 4 wattle gates, and we'll also make 10 wattle fences. So we have gate, 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 gate. And we have windows. Well, sort of. But these are the 2 things. They'll let light in, which is important for keeping this lit during the day, and it'll also let us see out, although somewhat limited. It would be nice to have some real glass, wouldn't it? But that's a problem for later, Kurazar. Today, Kurazar is only interested in probably getting the floor on here, and then checking the rabbit traps. I don't think that the rabbits have been eating the fennel. I have not seen either trap sprung. I even checked last night, in the middle of the night, and I don't think we've had any luck getting the rabbits to chew on those. It's a male brown hare. I don't care about you, buddy. I need a lady bunny. So let's go check on the traps one more time and see if we can get a female rabbit. And if they have not been nibbled on, then let's replace the bait with some turnips because I know the rabbits will eat those. And we have a completely unsprung trap. Yeah, I have chased several bunnies like off in the directions of these traps to the point where they stopped nearby, and they did not seem at all interested in the fennel. I pick you up. There we go. I have to break you. That's fine. So we're just going to reset these traps, and we will bait them with turnips instead. Because I'm pretty sure we read that hares, yes, will eat the turnips. All right. And I think the last thing I want to do with the top part of the house before we dig out the underneath and make our cellar is I want to put a bit of a roof on our first floor, which will also serve as the floor of the second story. We want to keep the rain out because as winter goes on and even as fall gets on, if we get wet, we can end up cold and shivering, and that will make us use more food. We could use any number of things. We could make another kind of mud brick. We could make dark mud brick slabs, but I find the tops of them to be quite plain. I think what I want to do is I want to see if we can squeeze our way through that sort of small thicket there. There are only like 3 or 4 rows of trees in there. On the other side, I spy what looks to be, I'm guessing, granite gravel. We should be able to break just a few of these boulders, get a whole bunch of granite stones, and bring them back to use to make a new block. So let's go do that now. Let's go do that now. Alright, off we go. We have our spears on us. There could be dangerous things lurking in these woods, despite how small they are. So we do want to be on the lookout. I'm not going to be looking at the ground and getting food right now. Do you see those ferns? Those ferns also indicate bad news. Wolves and bears will spawn in places where these ferns grow. Here we go. We have some, granite stones. Now there's probably plenty of flint around. We have a full stack. I am most interested in getting as much granite as we can. We're going to break these boulders. They'll each give us 3 to 5 or so stones per boulder. They're a very economical way of acquiring stones in the early game. They also require no tools to break, so don't go wasting any tool durability on them. Some crazy terrain here. Oh, goodness. Scary stuff. That's a big old cave. Yeah, we're going to stay away from that, I guess. Ooh, there's copper right here. Look at that. Okay. I think we have enough. It is now time for us to start the trek home. And we should be getting home with just enough daylight to maybe get this floor/ceiling in. I'll see you all at home, I hope. Well, this is a fairly nice little place. We got goats and sheep galore. Wow. Don't run too far, goats. Don't run off the edge and kill yourselves. But this is the mountain that overlooks... Yeah, this is the mountain that overlooks our little home here. Oh, wow. Oh, gorgeous. And as I've seen when I was previewing the world, it has a path that runs the whole way across there. Oh, that's so fun. I think, eventually, we have to have a build up here and a very elegant staircase leading up to it. A switchback staircase, of course. So let's go and make our ceiling floor thing. We're going to make some cobblestone, and specifically we'll be making cobblestone slabs. Slabs are 1/2 block tall rather than a full block. And to do that, we're going to need some red clay, or any clay. And we're going to put our stones in a row underneath the red clay in the crafting grid. Each one of these will give us 2 cobblestone slabs. So making 1 full stack of stones into slabs will give you 42. Now, slabs in Vintage Story have a bit of a function, or rather they have a bit of a quirk to them, in that they can be placed vertically. Now, when you place them, you want to be aware of what part of the block you're clicking on. If you look at this block here, imagine a set of trapezoids running in here, and across here, and down to here, and down to here, with a square in the middle, like a cut emerald. If you right-click near the center, you'll place your slab flat. If you right-click near one of the edges, you'll place it vertically along that edge. The same is true if you are looking at a slab straight on, or another block straight on. You can place it on the center, flat, or you could, let's say I wanted to do a flat one here, I could place it like that. You can also go into your crafting grid and force them into placement mode, which I definitely recommend if you're going to be placing a lot of slabs in the same orientation. Otherwise they can get a bit fiddly, but you can cycle through horizontal, or to vertical, or back to automatic. I've placed these stones, but don't worry. Although we have no pickaxe, cobblestones and other crafted stones can always be picked up by hand. The only ones that can't are raw stones, including cracked raw stone. They do take a long time to actually break though, so try to avoid doing it too often. I'm going to put these into horizontal mode. I'm going to aim at the top side of these blocks and just place a series of slabs down, like so. I think some of these may eventually end up getting replaced by some beams in the future, but for now, this will do just fine. And 2 more slabs. 1 and 2. There we go. We have a very dark room in here now. I'm going to put my torch down and we're going to light this up real quick, and then we're going to finish out our cellar. Alright folks, good morning. It is the very early morning of the next day. It is slightly riftly outside, so I'm staying indoors at the moment. I want to prep by making a few blocks that I want to use to lead up to our house. Right now we have to kind of crawl on top of our current roof, which will eventually no longer be here. So we need to come up with a way to at least get in our front door and then maybe our back door after we level this place. So to do that, I'm going to take some dirt and some stones. I want to make a few stone path blocks. These will actually increase your walk speed, but I'm using them mostly just for decoration. 7 of these should be good. And then I want to make some stone path stairs. And for that, we're going to put these over top here like this, and like that. And each one of these sets of 3 and 1 granite stone, or any stone, will get you 1 stone path stair. Since we're doing 3 blocks tall, we need 3 stairs, but I want to do a 2-block wide stair. So I'm going to do a few more of these. We'll just do 6. So I'm just going to do something like this. I'm going to have a block there that we'll maybe put a pot on later. And then I'm going to have these guys come out here a bit like this. And then we'll have stairs leading down to here. Like so. And that's going to run into this, but I think what we'll do is this might end up becoming like a slab block, and we'll have like an archway here instead. Yeah, that should work fine, I think. But for now, I'm just going to dig up a couple of these blocks here, and we're going to place down these 4 path blocks. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And there we go. Now upstairs up to our little home here. That brings us then to our cellar, which I think I want to have right under here. I figure we'll do most of our cooking probably over here, or maybe we'll have our chimney right here. And we want to have our food as close as possible to our kitchen area so we don't have to go very far. We want to get a meal to eat. To that end, I think we're going to do a similar thing. I'll make a few more of these stairs here. And we're going to go 1 block out. That way I can put up a sort of barrier here and do something with that. I'm going to dig under here. Not with a spear, with a shovel. And then we should be able to do 1 there, and done. Look at that. So a pathway down to a cellar. And I think I don't want to go any deeper than where we are here. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to fill in this floor. And this will become where our cellar is. I think eventually we'll have some kind of access to get to the animals from down here. Maybe a little path that goes around, wends its way under here. But for now, we need to seal this up because, like I said, a cellar must be completely enclosed and must be made mostly of dirt. Now for now, we're going to use probably the stack of packed dirt that I got earlier. Let's go ahead and try that out for size. I think we'll maybe come in later and we will maybe use a different material eventually. And there we go. And then I think probably the best way to handle this is we are going to, for now, close this off with just dirt. After I get a torch out, I'm going to place one right here. And I think we'll move our ladder, maybe make a few more actually, to there. As you can hear, the wind has now died down. And that means we are now in an enclosed room. And you'll see in the HUD clock, we now have a little sort of a jar symbol. This is like a canning jar. This means we're in a cellar. So just like in the little cellar in our little house over there, anything placed in here will have a reduced spoil timer, or rather an extended spoil timer. So this comes up right here. That's actually pretty convenient. I might scoot it over somewhere else later. Maybe along this wall here. But for now, that's fine. I I'm going to go get a piece of grass to block that off, and that will become our long-term cellar. I guess I could just steal these guys, couldn't I? Let's do that. 1 and 2. We could even possibly put down our basket and just carry this with us on our back. Now you'll see we are moving slower, and if we look at our hunger rate, it has not gone up, but I don't know if maybe that doesn't come in until you get the even larger storage containers. But wearing a container larger than a basket on your back will, in fact, slow you down. Alright, so we're going to plop this right here. We're at pair speed 0.78, 1.05, but when we plug this hole, perfect, 0.19, 0.26 for everything else. 7 days in here, that's not too shabby. And last but not least, the final piece to preserving your food long term, crocks. Let's go grab a crock here, grab 2 actually. You'll find that these do not stack. They stacked when they were raw, not when they are fired. We're going to head down into our cellar. If we come in here, we can now take our crock and left click on the stew. The crock will stay fresh for 2 days, but unlike the stew, we can put the crock here on the ground and it will have the same amount of spoil time as the cooking pot did in the storage vessel. Now you won't get any longer spoil times by putting the crock in the vessel. For that we would need fat or beeswax, and we have neither right now. This is just a way to have them out where you can see them and interact with them, such as by grabbing a meal. And that, my friends, is the end of this very long-winded and meandering lesson in how to build a cellar. We got quite distracted today, and that's not uncommon. Vintage Story is a game that you kind of have to take as it comes at you. We encountered a bear, we found all kinds of materials, we wanted to build a proper start to a house, at least I did, and all of those can get in the way of your goals, but ultimately you'll get there. Don't fret too much and enjoy the ride. But that's going to do it for this episode of the Vintage Story Guide. I hope you enjoyed learning about how to build cellars, how to preserve food, as well as how to start choosing materials to build your house out of. The names scrolling by on the screen belong to the awesome people who have subscribed to the channel as a member. If you too would like to become a channel member and get access to videos early, as well as have your name in the credits or have me butcher your name in the next part, then consider checking out what we have on tap over on the channel. The following folks have gone the extra mile to support the channel by subscribing at the Serif tier. Their names are Elizabeth Woolley, Inger Raymond, Joshua Saruda, Linda Harris, Mad Lord Hubris, Oak Tree, Servus, Smiley Builds, Sue Wallace, Tyluna, and Wade Parker. As always, my name has been Corazar. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.